So on to the vendors. Before we get too much into that, I just want to throw in a little personal note. This is something we were discussing while we were there, that we were kind of surprised and maybe a little bit bewildered that there weren't more retro game vendors. I mean, there definitely was some. There was more than one table, just selling a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But I mean, for something like this, we were kind of expecting them to follow the same general approach that like Comic-Con does to comic books. I mean, I understand that there are people at Comic-Con selling different things, but I mean, the majority of the vendors there are still selling comic books. So we were kind of expecting that same thing, but with retro games. And again, there were vendors there. It's just, I would have pegged it at like 60%. You know, retro gaming vendors, like that's what I was expecting.
I was gonna go 50, 55.
And it wasn't even close to that.
Not even.
It was what? 25% maybe? So,
see, I think you're being generous.
I might be.
Because
maybe 20%.
Because you're talking about games.
Right.
But I think you might also be factoring in the art vendors and things like that.
That's true. That's true.
There was a lot of that. That was great.
There was. Like, everything there, for the most part, was gaming related. There were a few exceptions, but 99% of the stuff there, obviously, was gaming, gamiana, you know, whatever you want to call it. So, onto the vendors themselves. All right, well, the first thing that kind of surprised me, and I'm not going to speak for all the vendors there. I had a good experience with a few. I had some, not bad experiences, but just kind of, again, bewildered experiences. Just, okay. So, one of the guys was selling a PlayStation game. I won't tell you which one because it's honestly irrelevant. But anyways, he had a price of $10. Again, not a lot for a PlayStation game, but this isn't a super rare game. And I'm always one, guys, to support local businesses over the big corporate machine. Like, if the price difference is negligible, normally I'll just give it to him because I want to keep the little guy in business. So that's not normally an issue with me. But with this particular dude, he was literally asking for twice the going rate at $10. And I'm sure you might be saying to yourself, well, you know, $5 isn't really a big deal, Jimbo. Well, no, obviously to me $5 isn't a big deal because look around you. But it's not really the price that's the issue here. It's more just the principle. I tried to reason with the guy. I wasn't a dick, like, you know, you're overcharging or anything like that. I didn't, you know, try and strong arm him into doing this. I did show him the going rate for the game, and I did it, I think, in a polite way.
You did?
And I was like, you know, dude, this game is selling for like $5.89 shipped, you know, complete right here, and I showed him the listing. So you kind of use the online market as the measuring stick for what people are willing to pay, because your pool for what people will buy is much larger when you use the internet, because then your marketplace is the entire planet, more or less. So he's like, I can't go 50% off. I was like, I made it very clear to him, like, bro, I understand you got to make money. Like, I'm not trying to take your food away from you, but at the same time, you've got to give me a reason to give you my money. Like, I understand that, you know, you need money, you need a business and stuff like that, but bro, this isn't a charity. Yeah, I mean, this is business, and it would be business stupid of me to pay twice the value of something just to make somebody else feel better. I mean, it wasn't Chuck the vendor, you know, a friend of mine, so I'm not supporting his business. That would be a different story if it's a personal friend of mine. This is Jimbo versus total fucking stranger. So he was nice about it. He wasn't an ass. He's like, you know, the table cost me like $3,000. Okay, I get that this costs money, and I get you have to make money, but that doesn't get you 100% markup on my fucking game, dude. Like, I'm sorry, it doesn't. So, again, I'm not speaking for all the vendors there. I had a fantastic experience with one of the vendors, which we'll get to a little bit later in the video. Some of them were definitely there to deal, and they were definitely very reasonable with their prices. Some of them just had their fucking head up their ass when it comes to prices. I don't know how else to say this, guys, but a couple of the vendors that we saw, it's like they didn't know that eBay existed. Like the prices, like you can't get this anywhere else. Yeah, I can, dude. Like this thing called the internet makes getting anything you want possible.
You know who you are.
Yeah, I mean it's.
You know who you are. You have a merce.
Yes, a merce.
You have a merce.
So
come on.
When you're basically saying like, you know, like $50, you know, is the bottom line or something like that. Well, all right, like I get you got a bottom line, dude. We've all got a bottom line. You got a bottom line for what you're willing to sell for. I've got a bottom line for what I'm willing to pay for it. If we can't meet in the middle, that's fine. Maybe you'll find someone else who's going to buy it. But I just think given the crowd that they're catering to there, guys, come on. The majority of the collectors there know the market. They've done their homework. They're more or less, I would say the majority of them, probably guys like me, who collect stuff like this and who understand what the typical going rate is for a semi-known game. Like a Nintendo first-party game, for example. We all know the prices of those. You know, I mean, it's continually going up, but we all pay attention. By the way, guys, little interesting tidbit for you when we're talking about vendors. I actually ran into somebody from YouTube while I was actually just looking at a vendor. I was looking at games. It was actually kind of weird. I always wondered if this would happen at one of these gaming conventions. So, Chuck and I walked around, we're checking out the vendors, and I just noticed this gentleman that looks familiar. I'm sitting there going through the games just like a regular person, and it's Pat the NES Punk. Just going through here like a regular Joe.
What's up, bud?
I know. It's just kind of surprising because... I mean, I'm sure he still collects games, but, I mean, I would think with a collection like that, I mean, hey, you know, maybe he's just fishing like the rest of us. You know, you never know what you're going to find in one of these things. Hey, you know, not hating on him or anything. It's just, I don't know, I just found that kind of surprising because he's got such an all-encompassing collection. I don't know. But, I mean, it was cool. I went up, you know, introduced myself and said hi. He was very polite. He was a very nice guy. Chuck actually also ran into someone from the YouTube world. I didn't. We actually separated for a minute while I went off to check out some games. But
we separated, and I kind of we'll use the term meet loosely.
It's a really funny story.
Yeah, brother had a rough night the night before. Tequila and Fireball don't really mix well in the stomach, especially when you work all night and you stay up and then you go into a convention. It's just brewing. Brother had to take a shit. So I'm running to the convention center just looking for a place to just dump ass. Like it was coming. It was coming. And of course, I see somebody I actually watch. I follow the Cinema Snob. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Cinema Snob, right there. I would love to meet you. I got a shit. Peace. Never saw him again. I would have liked to have talked to him, but I had more pressing matters to deal with.
Some of the other vendors we saw, like I mentioned earlier, almost everything there was video game related. But it wasn't just video games. All kinds of stuff. You know, hats, t-shirts, and everything. There was one guy who's making these really cool, almost like 3D posters, I guess you could say, like a miniature diorama of famous scenes from like NES games. Like they had one showing the training segment from Punch-Out where Little Mac's, you know, running this pink jumpsuit and Joe is behind him, you know, on the bike.
Yeah.
And you know, it was just kind of like the whole thing had scale and depth. You know, it wasn't just flat. It wasn't a hologram or anything like that. It was actually, you know, two distinct images or pieces of art, you know, showing the contrast. And I wish we had gone over there to check those out more. I just kind of thought about that in hindsight. That would be something really cool to have hanging here on the wall of the Retro Game Lounge. But just all kinds of little things like that of people selling stuff. Like they had guys selling Nuka-Colas, you know, cans of Nuka-Cola from Fallout, and pretty much everything. If you like anything about video games, there was probably something there that you would stop and check out one way or the other.
I'm sorry, I gotta say it. There was at least one really whack vendor. I'm not gonna point anybody out.
Is this the Super Nintendo one?
Yeah. Yes.
I gotta admit, this dude was off his fucking rocker. All right. What was the price on it again? Was it $80?
$80 for a piss yellow. Like, oh
seriously,
my God.
All right. Not even the miniature Super Nintendo. Not even the harder to find. The standard original Super Nintendo unit. Yellow as fuck. It looks like someone lit up next to it with a blunt for like 3 years and blew into it. Like the dude blows his cartridge like that. Like that's what it looked like. This thing was yellow as shit. And he's like, he had it all saran wrap.
It's
like
saran
he was
wrap.
Preserving it.
Like a fucking derelict mummy.
I know. This was really bad. And he was like, he wanted $80 for that. Dude, I can tell you off the top of my fucking head what a loose Super Nintendo system, complete with all the cords, goes for. That's $40 all day long. I don't think he did. He had a controller with it, but
I saw the controller. I don't think he had
complete without the box, controllers and accoutrements and everything like that. $40 shipped all day long, and that's probably one that's in a little bit better shape. I mean, this thing
looked like it had cancer.
I wouldn't give him $10
No.
for this one. And he's like, oh, $80, what a deal. I'm like, are you fucking high? Like, seriously, man? Like, I'm not trying to fuck up your shit here, but that's just stupid. I mean, guys, my complete in-box Super Nintendo system that's up there with a good shaped box with the styrofoam in it was $90. What the fuck? I mean, seriously, we both know that when you add the box and the original styrofoam, you nine times out of 10, you double the price. So if I'm paying $90 for that, it should have been $45 for the original system. This dude was just.
I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be nice.
I'm not being nice.
Skull it, get it together. Get it together.
Holy shit. Stop ripping people off. We're not idiots.
Good God.
I mean, that was just, yeah. That's, we saw that and we checked the fuck out of that vendor.
Like,
I was like, fuck this guy.
How the fuck does he even show up there with that merchandise and trying to charge that much?
I know.
Like,
he's like a bad used car dealer.
Like, out of the... Because, like I said, I expected more vendors.
Right.
So, I'm not disappointed, but why was that guy fucking there?
I don't know.
Like...
Because he paid $3,000 for the table.
For shame.
And he had like 3 tables.
I know...
The grand on that one table was wasted.
Oh my!
Because he wasn't selling shit.
He wasn't selling
Not at that
shit.
price. You have to be an idiot to buy that.
No, did you see his little Game Boys? His what?
Not in good condition. I mean, I understand, guys. There is a market for things that aren't in perfect condition. You can restore these things. There's a lot of videos on YouTube of how to get rid of the yellowing on these consoles.
Dude, it looked like you'd get Hep C from that thing.
It did, but I mean, if you're gonna sell a system that is in need of restoration, it needs to be at the needs restoration price.
Thank you.
Not at the more than good condition price. I don't think we're being unreasonable there. I think we're being pretty sensible, but yeah, that's all good.